Hi. Continuation of the Sunday Mafia, number 2. All right. I did not know my grandfather personally. I lived with my grandmother and her stories of the old days and my heritage so proudly explained. She never looked down or felt bad about those loved ones and the family she loved and remembered. She had a high-cheeked smile that was flush. She had a high-cheeked smile that was flushed with the blood of health and a positive heritage. She was proud in the positive way of looking back with mirth and joy and a traditional faith that kept that smile upon her face so serene. Her garden was tall, taller than her 411, and she tended it with care. Every spring, she would buy the best manure from Mr. Gailey's farm and wait for him to deliver it and pile it in front of the garden. My uncles would come to spread the manure and on the garden for my grandmom and make the teepees for the tomatoes. The teepees were higher than my petite grandmom, and as the plants grew, they were tied back with white torn rags, the kind my mother curled my hair with. The garden lettuce my grandmother would cut with a pair of garden scissors just for that purpose and bring it into the back kitchen to wash the dirt off. You had to wash and rewash until it was clean and moist. To me, the garden lettuce was special. With a little of the sliced onion, the garden lettuce tasted like heaven or heaven's ambrosia. The growing tomatoes had an aroma that was sweet and pungent. It smelled of summer and the sunset watering my grandmother did every night as the sun set over the old house and the steel mill still puffing away in the smokestack that never stopped belching. In front of the garden, right outside of the back kitchen door, on the right side was the rock garden, my mother's pet project. There was a giant cherry tree right on the bank of the rock garden, and the broken cement blocks that my mother used to shore it up. There were daffodils and blooming iris, white and purple, blue bottles and lilies of the valley, and a great lilac bush at the other end. Purple lilacs that gave off a wonderful perfume. Then there was a large mock orange bush with a smell that was intoxicating as any perfume from the Orient. And beside that, there was a peach tree. In front of the peach tree was my mother's patch of orange poppies that bloomed and flew away on a hot summer's day. This was the garden of all my childhood dreams. The sunset there could bring a peace and a beauty that was as supernatural as any cathedral. It was my childhood haven. I could feel the majesty of nature and the eloquence of the sunlight streaming through the trees. Although I was young, 5 or 6, I will always remember the etheric bliss I felt sitting in that garden. It was then that I ventured out into the neighborhood. Doors unlocked, relatives and cousins to venture with. People, different people, living so close to my haven. How marvelous the heritage is gathered together on one block in a small town. My childhood was filled with sensations of the old ones and their children that were close to my age. My grandmother had her entourage of neighborhood elders telling their daughters and nieces the secrets of cooking and sewing and needlework and gardening. And us, the children of such important members of the community. My mom was the servant and coveted daughter of these elder ladies of the neighborhood community. They spoke a different language. My mother tried like crazy to understand. She understood, but alas, she could never make them understand her. My mom was a complicated person, a person with a high degree of power in her personality. I'm going to do this in segments because my arm is getting tired holding this phone up. Okay.